Right now, I'm really excited to introduce to all of you our next session topic, which is election integrity and trust in local government. And this is a great friend of ours and a person that certainly has national prominence in the area of election integrity. Bill Gates is the director of the Arizona State University Mechanics of Democracy Laboratory and a professor of practice at the ASU Watts College of Public Service and Community Solutions. Now, he previously served as a member of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in Arizona. He was first elected in 2016 and he chaired the board in 2019 and 2022. In 2019, Bill negotiated the reorganization of the Maricopa County Elections Department within the county recorder. And during November of 22's general election, he served as the primary public spokesperson, participating in over 16 press conferences as statewide races were counted over a 13-day period. Now, prior to his role, Bill served on the Phoenix City Council from 2009 to 2016. He has practiced law in Phoenix for 29 years and has served on numerous nonprofit boards. He did graduate, we're very proud, from Drake University with a joint degree in economics and political science and earned his JD from Harvard Law School. His wife, Pam, has had a tremendous influence in his life and his public service. And they met at Drake. And he's the presiding judge of the Maricopa County Board of Superior Court. Pam is the presiding judge of the Maricopa County Superior Court, and they have three adult daughters. And I just want to welcome you, Bill. I thank you because I know everybody that's going to have the joy of hearing you today will walk away with new insights and things they can look at in their own community. So thanks for joining us today, Bill.
Well, thank you so much for that, Scott. It's a real honor to be here today. Thank you for that very kind introduction. And I always love having the opportunity to get together with people in local government because we all know that's where the work really gets done. We don't have any choice to continue with fights. We've got to pick up the trash. We've got to provide water. We have to count the ballots, whatever the case may be. And it was the greatest honor of my life to serve both at the Phoenix City Council level and then also the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. I am a lifelong Republican, but that didn't really matter when I was serving in local government, as all of you know, because we had to get stuff done. We had to work together. And in fact, many of my best partners, both during my time on the city council as well as the board of supervisors, were, folks from the other side of the aisle. So that, as I said, that was a great honor of mine here. I am just seeing if I can move to the next slide here. My apologies. Okay, great. So during my time at the Board of Supervisors, as Scott referenced, we had some very tumultuous elections. The Board of Supervisors, four of five of us were Republicans, but particularly in the 2020 election, we certified the election for Joe Biden because Joe Biden got more votes. It was that simple. It wasn't a matter of how we felt, who we may have or may have not wanted to win the election. Again, just like we were talking about before, at the local government level, you have to get the job done. But it was a very difficult time for us because we came under attack from a lot of people within our party, and it would have been easy to lash out many times. But my colleagues and I were committed that we were not going to do that. We chose the approach of civility. It was very challenging for us, but we had to remember what our role was. This wasn't personal. Our role was as the stewards of the election, and not just any election, but the election for the presidency. And like I said, it did teach us a lot of lessons. And during that time, I gained incredible respect for people who work on elections. I first got involved in elections about 20 years ago as a party observer for the Republican Party who actually led the election integrity efforts for the Arizona Republican Party. But in that role, in that 2020 and 2022 elections, which really had the eyes of the world on Maricopa County, which is the fourth largest county in the country, and typically either the second or third largest election jurisdiction. We had to maintain that civility. We had to maintain that focus on the job. So when I chose in 2024 to leave the Board of Supervisors, I wanted to have that opportunity to continue supporting folks at the local level, and in particular, people working in elections. So at ASU, I started the Mechanics of Democracy Laboratory. And there we provide training and professional development for elections officials. In fact, tomorrow I'll be holding another convening for elections officials in Los Angeles. And we also work to support that, to create a pipeline of young people into elections administration. So we have student fellowship program, both for undergrads, graduate students, as well as law students. And we're doing applied research to improve election systems and processes. We run great elections in the United States, but that doesn't mean that we can't do better and that we can't learn more from one another. And we are certainly involved in public education. Again, back to that civility concept, not lashing out when people spread mistruths about elections and how they're run, but instead focusing on how we can respond by providing the facts. And that's the way we always handled things in Maricopa County. We didn't let this misinformation go without being responded to, but we also did it in a factual way, in a civil way. And as far as improving election systems, one of the areas that we've gotten focused on, which was not even on my bingo card when I came over to ASU, was this AI and elections clinic that we've created here at ASU. It's actually the first program of its kind that's focused on emerging technologies and election administration. Next slide. So in 2024, this was before I had left the Board of Supervisors. This is when we first really started talking about AI in the election space. And people were very concerned that there were going to be deep fakes of candidates, deep fakes of election officials that would negatively impact the election. It ended up being that the sort of most famous deep fake from that 2024 election was a robocall allegedly from President Biden during the New Hampshire primary. Whenever I was speaking at press conferences in Maricopa County in 2024, I was stressing the fact that we didn't use AI in any way in our elections. And so it is a bit ironic now that at ASU, I'm starting to look at how we can support our elections officials and how they can improve the voter experience by utilizing AI. Next slide. So, again, you hear about AI, and one approach we could certainly take to AI in elections is just burying our head in the sand. But it's not a realistic view. It's here to stay. So instead, in our next slide, here at ASU, what we have decided to do with our AI and elections efforts here is that we've really begun with next slide. Um, with with baby steps. So we wanted to first go out during last summer and start going to elections conferences across the United States and start to give folks an idea of how AI could be potentially used to support elections efforts. Next slide.
Bill, the remote control does not seem to be working, so I will try and listen to your cues. If not, I'll wait for you to say next slide and advance them for you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that.
All good.
Okay, so what we did was we started to go out to these elections conferences, state elections conferences, started to talk to folks about AI and how it could potentially be used in their elections work. After just, a short, like hour long or 90-minute presentation, as you can see from these surveys, the elections officials were becoming more confident in their understanding of AI, understanding the relevance of AI to their work and responsibilities, and having the tools and strategies to begin implementing AI tools in their work. Next slide. And so once we saw that there was a real immediate response from uh, these short presentations that we did on AI, we decided to create the AI and Elections Clinic. And these are some pictures of the clinics, specifically what we have started to put on across the country are boot camps where we bring elections officials in from across the country. And what's interesting is and unfortunate is how elections have become very partisan over the past few years. And by that, I mean election administration itself, how they're being run. And so, what we're doing through the use of these AI and election boot camps is we're bringing elections officials together, Republican, Democrat, Independent, and we're not focusing on some of those things that have divided us over the past few years, but instead we're getting together to discuss how AI can be used and is being used in the election administration process. Next slide. And on this slide, we show the mission and vision of the AI and Election Clinic. But if we can go to the next slide, I want to focus on one particular part of the mission, and that's this. At every stage, the clinic advances an AI for good approach, balancing innovation with strong security protections and clearly defined standards for responsible and appropriate use. I don't know about all of you, but a lot of the events and presentations that I've gone to regarding AI have been pretty gloom and doom. And we are focused on the safety, the security precautions that need to be taken. But we see AI as a real positive, can potentially be a positive for our elections administrators. And so that's why we have really been leaning into the AI for good. Next slide. And so at this point now, we have held two AI in elections boot camps, one in Phoenix, one in Washington, D.C., and we have the third one here in Los Angeles tomorrow. At this point, we've now had elections officials come to these events from 21 states, over 250 elections officials, and we'll have another one of these boot camps in Arizona in a couple of weeks. Beyond that, Illinois, as well as Georgia, all in the first half of 2026. Next slide. And so, in our very first AI and elections boot camp, which was in November of last year, so just to give you a sense of the speed of how this has moved, we created the clinic in March of last year. So, we've moved very quickly to put all this into place because, as you all know, AI is moving very quickly. So, this is not an experience where we stand in front of the room and just lecture to folks. It is hands-on. We have people in the room who've never used AI and people who are pretty darn sophisticated. But we all make sure we get up to that same level, speed, sort of basic understanding, getting people signed up for different tools, ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, and Gemini. And then we do hands-on exercises, and we like to have fun with it. You can see in the use cases there on the right, one of the prompts that we used was to come up with a Thanksgiving themed cocktail. So that's where the frozen gobbler margarita came from. So we find that once people have fun with that, then they're ready to really dig into the work and go through real world scenarios, whether it relates to, natural disasters that might affect election administration, and how can you use AI to deal with that? For example, people playing the role of the elections director using AI to draft a quick press release to let people make people aware of some of the polling places that are now closed, alternative polling places, things like that. But always in these meetings, we come back to this concept of ethics, transparency. Number one, ethics. Should we be using AI for all of this work? Number two, if we're using AI, do we have a responsibility to let our voters know that we're using AI? And of course, making sure that we're putting responsible governance policies in place in our jurisdictions. Next slide. In the next month, in December of 2025, we held our second boot camp in DC. Again, many of the same things, but we're really excited that we have had some of the tech companies come alongside us in this effort. So Microsoft provided the Mechanics of Democracy Laboratory with a seed grant to get our program off of the ground, as well as Anthropic. Their AI tool is Claude, and we had representatives of Microsoft and Anthropic both at our DC boot camp. So these elections officials had the opportunity to talk to the AI companies, the tech companies, raise their concerns. But I can tell you that tech companies were also very interested to hear from the elections officials and their perspective on this. Next slide. But as much as we're doing AI for good, we always come back to making sure that safety and security is our top priority. So we talk to the elections officials who are present about the importance of using enterprise tools which are protected and will not allow any personally identifiable information or other sensitive information to get out into the public domain. So that is so important for folks who are in government and especially in elections. Next slide. When we think about those risks in AI and elections, these are kind of the three major areas. Number one is false information. We've heard a lot about that, about deep fakes. Number two is attacks on election infrastructure. AI can increase the sophistication of these cyber attacks, and we're hearing now that about 1 in 6 cyber attacks are AI generated, and unfortunately, that's only going to increase. And then finally, we have to keep in mind that AI is not perfect. It is subject to hallucinations, and that's why we always stress with everyone, you need to continue to have a human in the loop. Next slide. We have also expanded our reach online. So on the Mechanics of Democracy Laboratory website, we have recently created an AI and election skills hub. So we partnered with Microsoft, which has put together a prompt library. So these are, if you're wanting to, do work in elections, Microsoft has put together a library of different prompts that are effective, that allow and encourage their Copilot tool to operate effectively. We now have that on our Skills Hub. We also have information from the International Institute of Democracy and Electoral Assistance for all of the AI and elections work that they have done overseas. In addition, here at ASU, we have a sandbox where we're going to be developing AI tools that will assist, hopefully, be of assistance to elections officials. And these tools are going to be open source, available at this Skills Hub. Next slide. So just finally, in addition to the work that we're doing now, we're looking at getting this in the hands of more people, and particularly those small jurisdictions. Maricopa is a huge county, but a lot of those small jurisdictions where maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people are running an entire election, we think that's where AI can have a significant impact on making elections more efficient and improving the voter experience. So as a result, we're developing mini boot camps that we can put on in states across the country at state conferences, as well as online modules where the elections workers can do it from the comfort of their office or perhaps from home. And then we'll also be doing train the trainer exercises so we can spread this. We can really give people the tools, additional people, the tools to do this. We're also going to be working with students in our upcoming boot camps, having them come in, meet with elections officials, and help us to develop AI tools. And finally, we're running a convening series right now where we're looking at some surveys that we did of Arizona voters to find out what they think makes a great election. The one thing I want to stress here is one, that we've been able to focus on civility, facts, evidence, and tools, and not getting into partisan battles over election administration. And number two, the lessons that we've learned from elections administration and the use of AI, I believe, can apply to all sorts of people who are working in local government, and would certainly make myself available if any of you would like to discuss those opportunities or point you in the direction of some great resources that are out there. So just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I want to thank all of you for the work you do in local government, and I will turn it back to Scott.